Give me the camera. Give it off, down.
Give it. Man's journey into space is among the most noble endeavors that the human race has ever embarked on. It's unfortunate then that Hollywood so often makes it look so damn dumb. In our thirst for ever more elaborate special effects, space in film has become less the gateway to the stars and more a place where it's impossible to run away from the monster that's chasing you. Every once in a while, Hollywood will make a smart, engaging film or television show about the journey to other planets, but today's films aren't them. That's right, it's time for another episode of Sidegrades, where we take a look at two suspiciously similar movies that came out at the same time and scientifically determine which of them is better. Today's contestants, Red Planet and Mission to Mars, two films that came out within 8 months of each other in the year 2000, both of which obviously deal with absurdly large spacecraft, ushering a half dozen astronauts on a trip to our little red-headed friend, one step out further from the sun. One's pretty silly and one's pretty stupid, and our goal today is to figure out which is which. Mission to Mars hit first in March of 2000 and tells the tale of an ill-fated trip to Mars that ends in disaster as a tornado kills most of the team that lands there. What do the people left behind on Earth do? They send out another group of idiots out to Mars in some kind of foolhardy rescue mission, which itself meets with a disaster while still in orbit. It's incompetence all around, but that's nothing compared to Red Planet, which sees our heroes set off to Mars in an attempt to learn what happened to Earth's terraforming efforts, Earth itself being, shall we say, environmentally challenged. Guess what? That mission meets with disaster in orbit as well, leading to another stranded team that has a fight to find some way off that big red rock and get home. Without further ado, let's get judgmental.
It's just what we tried.
Best exposition.
All right, the resupply module checked out.
Now, both of these films have a lot of information to impart and waste no time in getting their backstories in front of the viewer. Red Planet takes kind of the easy way out, with Carrie-Anne Moss just straight up saying stuff at you while pretty pictures flash across the screen.
For the last 20 years, we've been sending unmanned probes with algae.
The use of narration to fill in backstory is a time-honored tradition, and while it feels lazy and a bit rushed in Red Planet's case, it's by no means especially bad. We'll split the difference and give the movie 5 out of 10 points in this category.
The hope and survival of mankind rests on us.
Mission to Mars, on the other hand, has at least 2 scenes where characters take absurdly long amounts of time telling each other things they obviously already know.
I've modeled it.
On paper, yes. But those dresses have never been tested in space.
These are always the most awkward kind of scenes to watch in movies, and the first one is made all the worse by the fact that Gary Sinise's character actually tries to walk away from it.
Oh, Jim, wait a minute.
Only to have Don Cheadle insist on continuing.
Look, I wanted this assignment, all right?
Red Planet has far worse dialogue overall, but in terms of delivering information, I far prefer to just have it be narrated than to have it be awkwardly related through conversations characters would never have.
Right, slow down, slow down, slow down. It's gonna take...
1 out of 10 for Mission to Mars.
Right, but in the meantime, we gotta be working up a mission plan.
Best way to highlight a body part.
Hey, could you pass me the towel, please?
Carrie-Anne Moss is the only woman on her little spacecraft in Red Planet, a fact which the movie classically reminds us of by, what else? Having her take a space shower.
Okay, why don't we practice? You can get back in the shower naked and come out, and I'll pretend it doesn't matter.
We couldn't have an insipid little romance between her and Val Kilmer if we weren't reminded at each turn that she is indeed a woman. And as such, she of course has to get naked in front of him in literally the first time the characters are alone on screen. That's pleasant, and later on we're reminded again about her ability to bear children when she strips down to a tank top for reasons I lost my train of thought. 7 out of 10. Again though, Mission to Mars takes the cake here by taking ruggedly handsome old Gary Sinise and layering on guy liner like there was no tomorrow. Given the very small amount of goods they let you take into space, I'm a little surprised he's taking out mascara as part of his personal allotment. Throughout the film's 110-minute running time, Sinise's eyes never seem to lose their strangeness. It's unsettling and it made me upset, so I'm going to go ahead and give Mission to Mars a 2 out of 10 for this category. Best use of space fluid. Mission to Mars gets credit for an inventive way to include a little future product placement in this category. The ship gets pelted by micrometeors, and what do you use to find out where the holes are? That's right, Dr. Pepper, Space Dr. Pepper. It's got electrolytes, and it's also pretty good at getting sucked through tiny holes and letting Tim Robbins plug them with space glue. 6 out of 10 for Mission to Mars. Red Planet actually gets a little more credit here than I'd be inclined to give it otherwise, though, for remembering that fire in a weightless environment does indeed resemble a fluid. It doesn't burn straight up and down, but instead breaks off in little globules. And what do you do with a fire in space? You take away its fuel supply, and thus Carrie-Anne Moss manages to suck all the air out of her ship. But don't worry, they apparently keep twice as much air as they needed tucked away somewhere. Still, the fire is arguably the most impressive special effect of the film's engagement with science, and it deserves some credit for that, so we'll give it a 7 out of 10. Best death scenes. These wouldn't be adventure movies without a few people getting popped. And Red Planet gets things started with Terrence Stamp deciding to sit down and die rather than slow down his party. Benjamin Bratt getting shoved off a cliff. That mentalist guy getting killed by a robot dog. And most famously, Tom Sizemore blowing himself up rather than getting eaten alive by space insects. A decent allotment of deaths, but nothing super impressive. 4 out of 10. Mission to Mars, on the other hand, has some really inventive and oddball death sequences in it. It starts off strong with a Russian cosmonaut getting literally spun to death inside a space tornado. And then following it up with a lady cosmonaut getting hit in the face with a space rocket. Best of all, though, is when you get to see Mr. Tim Robbins commit space suicide rather than watch his space wife die trying to rescue him from certain death in the cold, merciless confines of space. An impressive and memorable set of space deaths and an easy winner with 8 out of 10 points. Best science. As a former physics major, I have to give Mission to Mars a fair amount of credit here. For the most part, its science is credible and pretty well thought out. The spaceship that seems reasonably well designed and a mostly appropriate use of physics when it comes to weightlessness and extravehicular activity. The sketchiest aspects of the film probably come when the ship explodes in orbit after the micrometeor impact. Not only did the crewmen just happen to be within range of another satellite orbiting Mars, but they also happen to be traveling at roughly the same speed in order to rendezvous with it. And then they managed to land it within walking distance of their original destination. Still, apart from that and aside from the alien nonsense, it's a decent look at what space travel might actually look like at some point. So I give it 7 out of 10. On the other hand, holy shit, is Red Planet ever a good way to make a science geek laugh uncontrollably. Obviously, a large part of this is how people run around on Mars as if it didn't have only 40% of our gravity. Far, far worse though is that somehow we managed to raise it up from negative 55 Celsius to a livable temperature and somehow made its atmosphere, which is 170 times thinner than Earth's and consists mostly of carbon dioxide, breathable.
I don't know how we can breathe, but we can breathe.
In 25 years of throwing algae at it. It's so dumb it hurts to think about. Red Planet also fails in most of its details too, like how it ships artificial gravity goes from 0 to Earth force in a split second when power is restored. Also bad, Tom Sizemore's character is a geneticist, and he calls the alien life forms nematodes.
Some kind of nematode.
Nematodes are worms. These little guys are not nematodes. 1 out of 10 for Red Planet.
I thought there wasn't any life here. I was wrong.
Best on-set feud.
I came up here to forgive you.
Yeah? Well, screw you. I don't need forgiveness from a pussy like you.
Mission to Mars seems to have escaped filming with no major feuds between its cast members. Tim Robbins has not yet tracked down Don Cheadle and shot him on the streets of Beverly Hills, and Gary Sinise didn't seduce Brian De Palma's daughter. It is a depressingly gossip-free film, even 10 years later, so it earns a harsh 1 out of 10 in this category. Red Planet, on the other hand, was responsible for one of the funniest feuds on the set of any modern film. Tom Sizemore and Val Kilmer, who of course worked together previously on Heat, apparently hated each other while making this film. Things got so bad that they apparently started to refuse to film with each other, causing the director to have to use stunt doubles for over-the-shoulder shots when the characters were talking to each other. Why did they hate each other so bad? Supposedly, Sizemore flew in an elaborate piece of exercise equipment and Kilmer threw a hissy fit. Considering how the pair of them have aged, that is one of the most ironic reasons for two actors to ever fight. Now the only thing they'd probably fight over is their spot in line for the craft services table. Still, it is funny, so 8 out of 10 for Red Planet.
Here comes your 19th nervous breakdown.
Science has given us an answer as to which of these two movies is the better, with Red Planet taking the crown, with 32 points to 25 for Mission to Mars. It's a result I would have strenuously disagreed with a few minutes ago, but sometimes the scientific method forces us to reconsider long-held beliefs.
Watching this, Amy? Taking the first piss on Mars.
Red Planet might be so bad and lost so much money that it was the only film its director ever made, but it still comes out on top in this battle of side grades. So, Mr. Anthony Hoffman, at least you have that.